Okay, so where did we leave off? Good morning everyone, Gadget here for another video here on the Henry's channel, and I want to talk to you about medium format and specifically the Fujifilm GFX 100. Last month I gave you my first look where we went over the features, we talked about what it's capable of and how it's a bit of a game changer. In this video I want to go a little bit deeper, talking about medium format, relating it to APS-C and full frame, and with respect to this camera, talk about how it's a big shift in the market with respect to digital imaging. The first one I want to talk about is the sensor size and how it compares to what's available on the market. The sensor on the GFX 100 measures 33 by 44 millimeters, which makes it about 4 times larger than an APS-C sensor, the sensor that I'm recording on right now. It's also 70% larger than a full frame sensor. But what does this considerably larger sensor mean? You're gonna get a unique look. Quite simply, you're gonna get a much shallower depth of field that you just can't get on a full frame or APS-C size sensor. And while you might not always shoot at the widest aperture, having that option is a bit of a game changer for people working with these systems. But on top of that shallower depth of field, there's also just a unique depth that's provided when shooting on a medium format camera. It's hard to convey, especially in this YouTube video. It's really going to be difficult to show you what this means, but when you see these images, they're quite distinguishable from something that's shot on an APS-C sensor. And again, while APS-C sensors and even full frame sensors provide a lot of value and a lot of features that covers most of the market, a medium format sensor is quite phenomenal in that it produces a unique look that you can't get anywhere else. A look that you just have to see to believe, and you would have seen them in magazines, in billboards. They just produce this richer image, something that has a little bit more depth to it. And similar to what Fujifilm said in their keynote, it's really about preserving this rich moment in a way that you just can't with other systems. Now, we talked about the sensor size and how that gives you a unique look, especially when it comes to depth of field, but there's also a considerable impact on tone and color. So for this video, even though it is a little bit tricky to convey these differences in, well, a YouTube video, I went down to our photo lab and talked to our pros there to try and see if I can get some images to better illustrate this point. And while I was there, I got to talk to Steve, one of our pros there, and he put it quite eloquently. And one thing with this camera, Fuji's talking a lot about, color depth and color and the difference in tonality that you get between a medium format sensor and APS-C. Are you able to see that difference immediately?
For sure, definitely, because we print with 6 colors on our smaller format printer and with 9 on our large format. So through a tonality range, you're going to see a broader spectrum of color when you're shooting with a bigger sensor that has a better number of pixels to the size of the sensor.
Well, I came back from the lab with a couple of prints, hopefully to illustrate this point even more so for you guys. In here, I have an image that was shot on a crop sensor. Give me a second while I open this up for you. This was shot on the Fuji X-T30 using an APS-C size sensor. It's a 26 megapixel sensor, so you can blow these prints up quite large and get a really great product. When you look at this image and you put it up, I mean, it's quite impressive. I enjoy looking at it. Where you really see the difference is if you were to compare the colors and especially the skin tones on an image like this to something that's shot on a medium format sensor. And with that strategically planted segue, let me show you the difference. While we were in Japan, we met up with a friend of ours, Sharon, who was kind enough to be our model in the street. And one of the things you'll notice right away is you have so much more tonality in the skin tones. The image from an APS-C sensor is not terrible, not by any means. But when you place it side by side, an image from a GFX 100, again, a sensor that's 4 times larger than an APS-C sensor, you see a considerable difference and you see how much more latitude you have with a camera of this nature. There's been a lot of discussion about price and why would anyone want to buy this camera? Well, let me try to debunk a little bit of that as well. Yes, this is a $13,000 Canadian body, just to get the body alone. But we're talking about a market where the average camera can be north of $20,000 or even $30,000. You have some backs and some solutions that are well into the $100,000 price range. So to get a body like this with these kind of features, and again, with a large sensor, Fuji calls it large format, most of the market knows it as medium format, but still, regardless, a sensor that is 70% larger than a full frame camera sensor. To get that at this price is quite amazing. And I'll say it again, this is not for everyone. This is for real studio professionals, people that are gonna be selling their work, that have a lot of tear sheets to their name, that are putting their work on billboards and magazines and advertisements. Or it might be for museums and universities and colleges that need a camera of this nature to capture and archive certain images. You know, things that need to have a ton of detail and need to stand the test of time. And when we're talking about those type of customers, the solution is actually quite inexpensive for them. And if I can kind of wrap this up on one thing, we often talk about this democratization of creative technology in the office. We throw this around a lot. And really what that's all about is this idea that these innovative technologies and this real cutting edge digital imaging technologies are becoming more and more accessible, that more and more people can afford these solutions and use these solutions. For a camera like the GFX 100 to have a medium format sensor, to have something that's 33 millimeters by 44 millimeters, to be able to shoot 5 frames per second, to be as ergonomic as it is comparatively speaking. We know that the vertical grip isn't the best, isn't the greatest, it was an aesthetic choice. For a camera like this to simply exist at this price point is quite simply proof to the democratization of creative technology. You know, for someone that's working as a creative professional, shooting with a system like this, to be able to afford or maybe even lease an option like this over a few years and really do it at a 10th of the cost of some other premier solutions on the market is quite staggering. So for those of you watching, I hope this provided a little bit of insight, a little bit of value as to why a solution like this exists and how it's different from other solutions on the market. But most importantly, I'd like to know what you think. So you've seen our first look, you've seen this video as well. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And before you go, be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you know when a new video comes out. I'm Gadget from Henry's. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.